Hello, beautiful humans. I'm Jen Madrone, and tonight I want to talk about control. I want to talk about how the ego attempts to control everything in its path, and how this just really wears us out and causes a lot of anxiety for us, and about how we can release that control um, through this process of awakening and where it takes us when we do. So, control basically, the ego is a control freak. The ego tries to control everything for a lot of different reasons. Essentially, it thinks it's keeping us safe by being hyper vigilant, by trying to control our surroundings, the people in our surroundings, control ourselves, and what we think and what we do. And it's also a protection mechanism in the fact that when we're trying to control other people, it deflects or distracts us from doing our own inner work. So often when we're feeling things deeply uncomfortable in ourselves, the ego self will flare up and just start judging other people around you so that you're no longer judging yourself. And this need to control things, no matter where the root of it is, whether it's just an old habit, whether it's a distraction, um, or whatever the reason, it really just wears us down, tires us out, and separates us further from ourselves, from our authentic selves. And it is the root cause of our anxiety. Because if you look at what makes you anxious, it's because you feel out of control. It's because something isn't the way you think it should be. And so you develop this anxiety as you try to fix it or change the person who you feel like is causing you that anxiety or the situation. And so, control as one of the favorite tools of the ego is just something that separates us further from ourselves. And in the process of awakening, it can flare up a lot because as we start to realize that nothing is what we thought it was, that our neat little world that we had all under control is something totally different. And it becomes pretty scary because we don't really know what it is anymore. We don't really know who we are and how this world works. And so we have to kind of stare into the unknown, and that can be really frightening. And so that can cause our reflex of needing to control things to get stronger in this process. Those old habits to get stronger, to feel like, well, if I can't control this part of my process, I'm going to try to control whatever it is that I can. And so this just makes us feel a little bit crazy because here we are standing on the precipice of the unknown and then trying to control all of the little parts of our life. And it also separates us from who we truly are, from that authentic self that is trying to speak to us through this awakening process. And so, one of the things that is essential in order to move forward on this crazy ride of transformation is to release control, to release the need to control other people and to control our day to day life. And we do that from moving from the head into the heart, because control is just the thoughts that tell us we need to do this, we are out of control here, we need to change this, we need to adjust this. And when we're going through this process of awakening, the whole process is about moving from the head into the heart. And so the more that we can move into the heart, into this space of authenticity and of the true self, then the less we need to control other things and the more that we start to trust ourselves. But this is a process. And it's often a process of moving back and forth between the head and the heart and finding that balance before we can really trust the heart enough to let go of that control. And when we do, we find that life opens up for us and we find that our anxiety is released by 110% because we're no longer trying to change things around us and we're surrendering to what is in such a beautiful way. And it's also the great paradox that, we really can't control anything except ourselves, our emotions, our reactions, taking full responsibility for ourselves. But once we take that responsibility to control who we are at the deepest level, control our responses, and create a really beautiful life for ourselves, then it influences everyone else around us. So even though we can't control other people, just by controlling ourselves, that has that ripple effect, and we actually find that we have a much bigger impact or a much bigger ability to create the world we want around us when we release that control. So one of the many paradoxes of the spiritual path. And so if you're struggling with releasing control or struggling with other parts of the transformational process, then please send me a private message and we can see if the work that I do with my clients would be a good fit for you. And if you have any questions, just leave them here in the comments, and sending you all so much love. And I'll see you in the Facebook group. Have a great night.